Welcome to Purpose Project. My name is Leslie Pagel. I am so glad that you are here with me today because we have an incredible story. Today, we're going to hear from Crystal Morse. Crystal is a nationally recognized golf pro, and she is on Purpose Project sharing with us the life lessons that she has learned that have helped her discover her purpose. I can't wait for you to hear from Crystal, so let's get started. Thank you so much, Crystal, for being here on Purpose Project. I'm so looking forward to our conversation.
I'm happy to be here. It's my pleasure. Been looking forward to it.
Love it. Love it. Before we jump into the topic of purpose, which is a big topic, let's get to know you a little bit better. Who is Crystal?
So, one of the most recent things that has defined my career and my passion and purpose this year is I recently, at the beginning of the year, got awarded to me, it's like a Lifetime Achievement Awards. I'm obviously a member of the PGA of America. I'm a golf professional.
Yeah, we see the attire.
Yeah, see the attire. So I've been a PGA member since 2009. And being in the business all this time, obviously I've gone, we'll talk about it, a lot of different kind of avenues and directions. So the PGA of America gives awards every year to basically professionals throughout the nation, right? So there's 30,000 golf professionals in America, 30,000 plus, and they award one professional in a variety of categories. So this year I was awarded the National PGA Player Development Awards. So out of 30,000 professionals in 2024, they picked me as the one who is running all the programs, doing the most to grow golfers and developing players. That gives you a big picture of what I do.
Yeah. But, So Crystal is a nationally recognized developer of other golfers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am,
awesome.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my life, when I look back on it, golf has been, since I was 10 years old, just a constant in that. And that has really driven my life and guided a lot of what I've done.
Yeah. So would you say that you have found your purpose in life?
At this point, absolutely. If somebody said, what is your purpose in life? I would clearly be able to tell them. I try to think of, okay, when did I really find my purpose or when did I determine my purpose? And I'm not really sure until really maybe the last year. And I feel like this award, even though it's not why you do things, I think it's helped validate what you do, what I've been doing throughout my career, and the affirmation that I've gotten from a lot in my profession has validated what I'm doing and has really made me be confident in my purpose.
So what is your purpose?
What is my purpose? Somebody asked me this the other day. Funny enough, because I don't know if it's my...
Oh my gosh.
And I think it could be, even actually when I was doing the PGA filming, that was when everything came about, right? So that's when that question came about. They asked a lot of those questions. My purpose in life, bottom line in one sentence, to have a positive impact on people's life through the game of golf. Using golf is my avenue. My purpose is to just be a light in this world, be a light to people, right? So we need that. This world there's so much going on, and I've realized even too since COVID and opportunity to work with a lot of young people, high schoolers. Not that adults are not affected as well, and we can get into that, but a lot of the high schoolers and the kids that I'm working with, I've just noticed such a difference in the mental, I don't know if mental health is the word, but definitely their ability to cope with things and their ability to go with things going on in this world, whether it's college or whether it's getting through high school. Honors classes, whatever it may be, I find myself in this position to be able to just be there for them, be a mentor for them, help them.
And it's not anything to do with golf.
Nothing. Golf is merely just the avenue. Honestly, 90% of what I do on a daily, I don't know if 90% is the word, but when I go through my day, very little of it to me has to do with swinging a golf club,
right,
or hitting a golf ball, or it's very little to do with golf. my entire day is focused around people, like my
Right.
interactions with
Right.
people. And are those interactions positive or are
Right.
those interactions, not positive? So I think when I look at my day, it's just interactions with people.
Yeah.
Whatever, maybe it's the grumpy man coming to play golf at the counter. I'm like, how can I brighten this guy's day? Because he's obviously having a rough day.
Oh,
So just realizing, hey, we all, because how nice would it be if you could just go through your day? Like, how refreshing is it when you actually come into contact with somebody who actually like brightens your day?
right. Right.
There was this
Right.
lady the other day. It was the most random thing. We were at a hotel in Orlando, this was back in January. And I go to check out of the hotel. I don't really want to be leaving. We're leaving Florida to come back to Indiana.
In
And in
January.
January, I'm checking out, and this lady checking me out, she was like, "You are beautiful." And I was like, it totally caught me off guard.
Oh,
And I was like, thank you. But I was so refreshed and energized after
yes.
that.
And 7 months later, you're telling the story about it.
I
You're still
know.
energized from
Doesn't
it.
it? I mean, it sticks with you. And
Right.
I feel ever since COVID, I found myself, and this has been something that I've really had to work on
Uh
a
huh.
lot. I found ever since COVID, it really affected me because I felt like I wasn't making eye contact with people and I
Yeah.
wasn't having that
Right.
interaction with people. And not until maybe like a year and a half after that all started, I'm like, man, I feel like this is affecting me and I need to really
Right.
work on like getting back to where I was,
Right.
like getting back into making eye contact and smiling. And
Yeah.
because it was so natural for me to make eye contact and smile with
Right.
somebody. And then I didn't do it. I'm going to say I didn't do it for a year because
Right.
you're wearing a
Right.
mask for a
Right.
year. And that was
Oh,
really,
yes.
I think, hard on me. And I felt like that took me, I was self aware of it. And I had to dig out of that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a difference. Now, maybe my purpose in life is going to, I feel like that's always going to be my fundamental
Uh
purpose in
huh.
life,
To have a
right?
positive impact
On
on
people.
people,
Now, whether I
whether
use the game of golf or whether
exactly.
it's, hey, but I just feel like golf now, I can reach a lot of
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Is the
So,
positive impact piece of it, like you said earlier, the grumpy guy and the thing, is it in those moments of people living their life, or is it you also talked about helping kids in high school look for scholarships and things like that? Or are there bigger things that
I would
is it all the above?
say it's I would say it's all the above because when I'm at the golf shop and
Uh-huh.
I greet somebody and they're like, "Man, you have a great smile. Like your smile is really your kind of one of your
Yeah.
attributes." And I'm like, "Thank you." So I think being kind, like
Huh?
having kind of that kindness. And now I'm not saying I have a good day every day, right? Just
Right.
meaning like obviously there's times where I'm like,
Okay, I
"Oh
was
my
wondering.
gosh."
I was like, how do you do this every day?
I think I know. And it's one of those things where, obviously you're going to go through times and I go through times where I'm not always feeling it, right?
Uh-huh.
Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, man, I'm in a funk. I'm in a funk, or maybe it's a day, maybe it's a week, maybe you're in a
Mm-hmm.
funk for a month. Like it just, you never know. It just happens. Whether I'm in a funk, when I'm around people, it makes me feel better if I can help impact them,
Right.
right?
Right.
So like
Yeah.
if I can serve people in a certain way or if I make other people happy and enjoy their
Oh.
time, it actually brings me out of my
Right.
funk, right?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
So it is, I'm not saying it's all the time, but I do find I'm like, hey, if I can make them enjoy their day better, that's going to make me feel better,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, it comes
Whether
back around to
I'm
you.
right, whether I'm feeling it or not.
Right.
So that's what I see, but it is big. There are some small moments in the day and then there's those big moments
Uh-huh.
where the big moments, like for example, I run a program for military veterans. It's called
Okay.
PGA Hope. It's a completely free to veterans,
Okay.
and it's basically a 6-week series during the summer that we run, and the veterans get together 2 hours for a week for 6 weeks, and we go through training for it. And one of the things that we are told and we're made aware of that a lot of times these veterans, now we may not know it at the time, but like this 2 hours for them on the golf course could be like life saving,
Right.
right? This
Wow.
2 hours is the 2 hours that they look forward to, whether they're dealing with maybe just big issues, right?
Right.
PTSD, maybe depression, maybe they just need something
Right.
to just escape. And now, after we've been doing it for a few years, the veterans, I've seen a number of them come time after time, and they're like, man, this 2 hours, like, it's just a way to,
Oh,
it's a way I don't have to think about
right.
anything. They enjoy their time,
Yeah,
right? So I think that it obviously is a big
exactly.
moment that that I can use to
Right.
have purpose to help these veterans just enjoy, 2 hours a
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
a while and have that camaraderie and just help them a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the big one. So I think my purpose can be,
Right.
maybe just
Yeah.
varies by day, by
Right.
person. So
Exactly.
just never know what they need. Right.
Right. So you talked about how the award helped you articulate your purpose or
Hmm.
realize it. As you look back over your life, are there other defining moments that you feel like led up to this as well?
I was thinking about that because a lot of times you don't think about it and you just go do
Right.
your day to
Right.
day and you're like, you don't necessarily always have the time to reflect. But I was leading into this discussion, I was thinking about it. And golf in itself has always been something I've enjoyed,
Uh-huh.
right? So that's always been the underlying. Okay, I did some, I went to school for environmental science.
Uh-huh.
I was a chemistry lab assistant. I was an intern
Really?
at Eli Lilly between my junior and senior year. Had the opportunity to go to work at Eli Lilly as
Right.
a chemistry lab assistant, follow my major. And it was my last semester of my senior year. And I was like, I want to do that. I think I'm going to pursue the golf business. I remember the conversation with my parents, and I don't know what they thought. I'd have to ask them now, even what, because I was in college, I redshirted in golf my first year, went for 4 years, and now I was on
Right.
scholarship, but there was obviously still monetarily, they were
Right. Right.
invested in my
Right.
college career. So I have no idea what they were thinking when I was like, I think I'm going to get into the golf business.
Right.
Number one, I didn't know anything about it. Nobody in my family knew anything about it or what it involved or how you're going to make money doing
Right.
that,
Right.
right? And so I called the one person that I knew had known because I played golf with his daughters, and that was Ted Bishop. And I go, hey, Ted, I'm graduating in May, and I think I'm going to work in golf. Can you help me out? Because he lived real close. The golf course was real close to my house. And he's like, yeah, I think we can do that.
Right.
So literally, I knew nothing about it. I had never worked at a golf course in my life. Like, I had just played, had no idea what I was doing, other than I just knew
You
I
wanted to
enjoy
do that.
golf.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy the sport, I enjoy the
Yeah.
game. And so it was
Yeah.
crazy, right?
So I want to peel this back a little bit because I do think some people probably come out of college and they don't choose that path. They choose what is supposed to be
Right.
according to whatever. What was it like? To me, it seems like courage for you to go the golf path.
I think, and I can't tell you how many young people I try to encourage nowadays. I'm like, look, you have to take some chances, right? I feel like
Okay.
if I were to think about it, one thing that has led me to where I am today is that I was always open to the opportunity,
Uh
right? So I
huh.
always felt like I really didn't say no to opportunity,
Okay.
right? So I worked for Ted for that summer. I lived at home and I loved it. I was like, oh, I going to come to the golf course every day. Like, I was learning about the business. And then I had the opportunity. This is a seasonal position. He goes, so you're not going to have work in the wintertime, but if you do good this summer, you have the opportunity to go somewhere warm and work for 6 months at another golf
Right.
course. And I was like, okay, like,
Right.
I'm in. Whereas a lot of people now would not want to leave. They're like, I'm
Right.
going to stay here. I want to stay close to home.
Right.
So I
Right.
think a lot of the young, especially females that I know in the golf
Really?
business
Okay.
today, it's one of those things I tell them, I'm like, look, you have to be willing to branch out.
Right.
Like, you have to be willing to branch out, not just maybe in this business, maybe in other businesses too, but like, this is your opportunity. If you're in your 20s, say yes to this opportunity. You can always come back. You can
Right.
always come back. And so this was funny. The Ryan Ford, the head pro, and then Ted Bishop, my general manager, they were like, hey, we have this opportunity in Palm Desert for you to start work over the winter in starting in November. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I can go to Florida. And Ryan goes, Crystal, you realize Palm Desert's in California, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it was like days I thought I was going to be going to Florida. And he was like, oh, that's in California, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm going 2,000 miles away to California, but it didn't stop me. I was like, okay, let's do
Right.
it. Let's do it. I'm going to move. So I moved. And I think one thing that it helped me do it is because I knew it was only 6 months.
Right.
I was like, it's
Exactly.
6 months. I'm coming back.
Right.
This is going to be an
Right.
adventure. Let's do it. My parents were like, I don't even know how my parents, they were just like, whatever you're going to do, Crystal. Like at this point, I don't know.
I'm just curious, did they raise you in a way that was follow your dreams?
They gave me guidance. They were I had a lot of guidance. The one thing that I knew, and this was just an understanding, like you're going to go to college.
Okay.
Right. So that was just
a non-negotiable, it sounds like.
I just always understood that, like you're going to go to college. And then I got the opportunity I actually went to Purdue University for a year, thought I could play Big Ten D1 golf, and it just didn't work out.
Okay.
So I had to make the decision. I was like, okay, do I stay at Purdue and just I can stay on as just a walk on and probably not play in tournaments, or can I transfer and go play somewhere else? So that was a big decision in my life, where I made the decision to transfer colleges to go pursue
for golf.
Yeah, and because I wanted to play. I was like, I want to play. So thinking back, like they were always very supportive. They never said, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I think they gave me that freedom. Even when I was like, yeah, I'm not going to work at Eli Lilly. I'm going to work at a golf course.
Yeah.
And they didn't ever say, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't do that. And even when I was going out to California, I don't ever remember them saying, now my parents, they were nervous about me moving to California.
Right.
But they were never, like, I never felt like it was an uphill battle.
Right. Right.
So they always encouraged it. And I think that freedom helped. It really allowed me to find my own way a little bit. So it was a fun journey, but I think, so that was a pivotal point, saying yes, right?
Yes,
I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Go into California.
I'm going to do it.
How did that turn out?
Turned out fantastic. So I was seasonal for 2 seasons. That second time when I came back, I worked in the summer, and then it was one of those things, and again, I can't really explain what led it there, but I had the opportunity to go out there full time.
Okay.
And at the time, I felt like I had more opportunity. I was like, you know what? There's more opportunity out there when it comes to golf. I think I'm going to do it. So I told my parents, I was like, what do you think if I went out to California full time? And they were just like, oh man. I think they didn't ever discourage my decision. I think, again, just as a mom now, I can know, oh, it's hard when your baby wants to go 2,000 miles away. So I think it was just more of that. Like, they were going to be sad that I was going to be 2,000 miles away. So I did. I went out to full time and just lived, did a lot of great experience out there. I met my husband. We had our kids. Just got so many wonderful experiences out there. So I got my PGA membership and just got to see a lot of the West Coast. Experience life. And it worked out fantastic. So got married, we had our kids, and I knew California, and I think this was another thing. I knew I wasn't going to be in California forever. I didn't go out there thinking, oh, California's my new home. Like I always had my roots back in Indiana. And so I think that is what helped me enjoy it a little bit more. Like, you know what? I'm always
this is temporary.
Yeah. I'm just going to live it up because I'm not going to be out here forever.
Right.
And when we had our kids, my daughter was probably not even a year, and then I was like, okay, I really want to get back to Indiana. It's time. Our son was like 3.5, and I was like, they're going to be starting school, so we were starting that process. And I actually, even though I loved my jobs out there, it was good, but I became a stay-at-home mom. So I quit the job that I was at. So I said, you know what? We're focused on moving back. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. So the job that I was at, I said, you know what? I'm not going to come back next
Right.
season. We're going to focus on moving and I'm going to stay at home. And I think that decision to stay at home, I stayed at home with my kids for about a year and a half,
Okay.
probably ish. Could have been 2 years. That, I think that decision in itself helped lead me back to what
Okay.
I was supposed to do.
Right. Yeah.
Because by staying at home, I was like,
You
I did
weren't getting the
not
human interaction either.
know.
That
And it
uh,
sounds awful. And for any stay at home mom, this is going to sound horrible, but I was not feeling like I was, I don't know if fulfilled is the right word, but really on a daily basis, I go, I feel like I should be, like, I feel like there's more that I
right.
need to
Yeah.
be doing
Yeah.
here. I know obviously a mom is the most important job, like being a mom and a dad are the most
Right.
important things. And that's still the case,
Right.
but you had that
Right.
feeling, and I was like, there's more, like,
Well, you talked earlier about how it lifts you up to be around
it
people
does.
and COVID, the impact that COVID had. And when you're a stay at home mom, now I don't know if this is, I'm generalizing
Yeah.
here, but you're not out around a bunch of people all the time.
Not in that way. Like, not in a way. Yeah, you go to the store and
Right.
I would go to these, socialize my kids
Uh
and go to
huh.
these things, but it wasn't like that connection. Like, I didn't have the connection that I was like
Right.
feeling that I really
Right.
wanted, right? Yeah, I would talk to people, but it wasn't the connection. And I just missed it. I missed it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Right.
Like, I think, and that is really what led me back into really a whole different kind of chapter in my career,
Uh huh.
right? So that was staying at home with my kids for 2 years, and I loved it. We made great memories. I homeschooled my
Oh.
son for a
Uh
little
huh.
while. It was great. Like, I cherished the
Yeah.
memories and cherished the time. But again, at the same time, it was really what led me in, like, open the door for that second chapter to
Right.
really, because at the time I couldn't have told you what my purpose is. I was in my 30s. I
Right.
couldn't have told
It was,
you
yeah. I mean,
what my purpose in
yeah.
life was
Taking
then.
care of your kids probably at
Yeah.
that moment,
At the moment, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this is what I'm supposed to be
Right.
doing.
Right.
But at the same time, waking up every day and doing that, I just was like, okay, I feel like there's more. It
Right.
wasn't like this
Right. Yeah.
great purpose and passion
Right.
that I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
felt like I wanted,
Yeah.
needed, and was meant for.
So you
So
came back to Indiana and got back into golf.
we did.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did. My husband, he took the job that got us back here,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, and I love him for that because yeah, I know he made a sacrifice and got
Aw.
us back
Right.
here. So that was good. I really love that. But got back here and I was like, okay, maybe coaching is something I want to do. So I reached out, became the coach of Whiteland High School girls team,
Okay.
got that opportunity, enjoyed that,
Yeah.
finally reached out to Ted Bishop and we connected. And he was like, hey, why don't you become my director of player development? We don't have one. We need to grow the junior program. I didn't really even know what player development
Right.
involved at the time. And I was hesitant to have a loaded schedule. I was like, I don't know. He's like, you set your schedule. Like, you set your schedule.
Right.
And I was like, all right. So I did it. And so that was like in 2016,
Uh-huh.
right? 2016, that kind of all started. And so then I started. I was like, okay, I'm going to start with growing the kids. Because then I think my kids motivated me. Like,
Oh
having
yeah.
my own kids, I was like, okay, before I had my kids, I didn't necessarily want to teach kids or
Right.
want
Right.
to know how to communicate with young kids necessarily. So having them really motivated me to
Oh.
run these programs, really start that player development,
Right. Right.
mission. So
Yeah.
that's really what started it. And I'll tell you what, I don't know in that time frame, but within that year, like, I was like, this is awesome. I have
Aw.
freedom. I can be creative.
Right.
I can be playful. I
Right.
can have
Oh.
fun.
Yeah.
This is fun. This is enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where it all started. And
Yes.
me being able to find, okay, this is like a pretty cool avenue and I can find my purpose through this. So
Yeah.
that's really what kind of helped me
Aw.
find my purpose and all that.
Yes.
So
So saying yes to opportunity and
absolutely.
then continuing to tune in. I heard some of that too, tuning into how you're feeling in the moment.
I feel like that self-awareness or like kind of self-evaluation.
Ah,
Okay, is this is this something like, what do I enjoy, or what, just like that like, I'm not saying daily self-evaluation, but just consistent self-evaluation
Right.
of, what am I going down the path that
Right.
I
Right.
feel like I should be going down, or what's big picture, what should I be doing with my life?
Right.
And
Yes.
so feeling that
Yeah.
consistent self-awareness of
Yeah.
like, am I on the right path?
Right. And then
And
taking action
yes,
if you're not.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I think Ted's like one of my mentors. And one of the things that we talk about all the time is he gave me, and this is another thing that I am just, it's so important, is having freedom to be creative within your field.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
When I worked in golf shops in California, it was very, this is how we've done things
Right.
for all time,
Right.
and this is how we're going to continue to do things.
Right.
And so that's how I would do things,
Yeah.
right? And that's fine, and that's how that's what you did. And so you did it really well,
Right.
right? You did it with a good attitude. You did it really well because that's what they've always done. And coming in this at the Legends, in that opportunity, there wasn't anything. It was a new uncharted territory.
Right.
So I had the freedom to just be like, you know what? I'm going to try this.
Right.
I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this idea. I tried a lot of ideas
Right.
that I thought were incredible that had zero, that failed. They were totally, I was like, this is going to be the best idea. What do you think, Ted? He was like, go for it. So he would just, I was like, this is
good.
gonna be
So
the
not
best
only
idea.
freedom, but also support and encouragement.
Support.
Yeah.
And this is one of my biggest, and I've learned this over time, and it's probably one of my, it's what some lessons you learn the hard way as you're trying to work through all this. But you have to watch, once you become excited about something and passionate about something, you have to really watch who you tell your ideas to.
Okay.
Because if you tell, I'm excited about it, I'm like, oh, I got this idea and I'm going to do this junior program and it's going to be great and everybody's going to love it. If you tell that idea to somebody who doesn't have that same excitement,
Right.
like, it could really discourage you, right?
Right.
So say you go to somebody who just, whatever, like, you're just like, oh, I'm so excited about this idea, and they're just like, huh, interesting. And you're like,
Right.
but why,
They don't get
why
as
aren't you
excited as
excited?
you-
Like,
right.
why aren't
Isn't
you
that
excited?
great?
And they're like,
Yeah.
fine, that's
Yeah.
fine, it may work. So I think it's almost better for me, I've learned, is to wait until my idea gets a little bit more mature.
Okay.
And like, I've
Yes.
actually completed
Right.
maybe that idea, and it's come to action and it's successful
Right.
before I
Yeah.
share it with everybody. But Ted is one of those. So you got to find your like people.
Right.
And it's not, I've learned that it's not everybody. You
Right.
can't share
Right.
your ideas with everybody. And I don't mean that on a negative way, but if you are a creative person and you're passionate about something, like, if you tell your ideas to the wrong people, it could be
Right.
really discouraging.
Right.
And
Right.
you won't do them.
Right.
Because if I
Exactly.
had somebody tell me, you know what, Crystal, that's a dumb idea.
Right.
Nobody's going to do that. And what
Right.
do you, like, what's
Then you're
the
gonna
point?
doubt, and yes.
Then I'm not going to do
yes.
it. But
This is great advice for people who are wanting to pursue their purpose,
yeah.
but not always getting the affirmation that they might need to feel comfortable pursuing it.
You have to be curious. It's about who, and you know this, it's about who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Like, you have to surround yourself with people that have maybe the vision.
Right.
Because some people have vision.
Right.
Some people don't have
Right.
vision, right?
Yeah.
Some people it's just,
Right.
okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to get my coffee and I'm going to do
Right.
this routine every day. And
Yes.
this is how it's going to be. But if you're a person that has the vision and kind of thinks
Right.
outside the box, like, you have to find other people that have, not necessarily, doesn't have to be your same vision, but just
Right.
have that,
Right.
oh yeah, that's cool. Like,
Right.
do it. Like, this is going to be like, go for it. That's a great opportunity or whatever. And so I found Ted has been one of those people as my mentor who I can tell an idea to. And he's like, it's great. Go for it. Do it. I think that's a great idea. And now I think one thing that I found out too is that, like, I ran a lot of these, what I thought were great ideas, and they flopped.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so what, and that's where that self-evaluation comes in. Okay, I know it was a great idea, but what did I do? Maybe I didn't target the right audience,
Right.
or maybe I didn't communicate it properly,
Right.
or
How
maybe
can
I
I tweak
didn't.
it? Yeah.
Who can I go to? I obviously didn't get this to the right people. So
Uh-huh.
like, how can I reach more people to help foster
Is
this
that
idea?
when you go out and seek input from others?
Here's the thing I found. So what I started doing is I would find other, and this has helped me over the years, instead of, I would find other professionals in the nation.
Uh-huh.
So say I found another female. She had won a similar national award and was
Okay.
just like one of these strong
Yeah.
females. So I called her. I was like, I want to pick your brain. What are you doing? So I found like-minded
Right.
or people that I thought were pursuing the same
Right.
kind of avenue that I was.
Right.
So I found them and then I would pick their brain.
Yeah.
Now, did I feel like all of them, most of the time I talked to, because they were like award winners, like most of them had that passion,
Right.
right? Because if you do something that's going to set you apart from 30,000
Right.
plus people, you got to have some passions. I would reach out to those people first, and that I picked their brain. I'm like, what worked for you?
Right.
So I was still careful about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I found the right people,
Right.
and I would do more picking their brain
Yeah.
than sharing my own
Yeah.
ideas.
Right.
I would be like, hey, what have you done
Right.
that has worked?
Right.
I want to hear what you did. And then I'm going to
Yeah.
tweak that.
I'm hearing be careful who you share your idea with. But in the event that you do share your idea with someone, don't necessarily let their reaction stop you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Because how many times could you don't get the reaction out of somebody that you want? And then you're like,
Right. And then
maybe
it's
I
harder to
shouldn't
do
do
it. And
it.
then there's doubt. And then it's probably not going to be as good because you're doubting
it
yourself.
is. And you're like, this is probably a dumb idea. I don't know. I shouldn't be doing
Right.
it anyways. You know?
Yeah.
So I think when I've learned this even through over the years, because when I would do, let's say I would do one of these clinics, like a junior clinic, right? Let's say, and it was full of, say, 10 to 12-year-olds. And I would be coming to this clinic with so much excitement and passion and energy, right? And sometimes in the beginning, I would let the energy of the kids bring it. I'm like, oh, why aren't they as excited as I am? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, probably because whatever. They've been playing video games all day, or they have a ton of homework, or they
Right.
had a hard day at home, or
Right.
what. So I
Yeah.
think I had to separate
Yes.
their their energy from my energy.
Right.
And just
Yeah.
say, okay, you know what? I'm bringing this energy like sometimes I'm the one that has to bring the energy to this
Yes.
regardless of what they have
Right.
going on.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to I've learned not to let that kind of bring my energy level
That's
down.
self-awareness too, right
Yeah.
there.
Because when you're trying to teach somebody or you're talking to somebody and they're just straight faced and you're like, you feed off of that
Right.
energy. And so
Yeah.
I had to be like, okay, just because they're not as excited, like I'm going to make this a fun experience because I want to have
exactly.
fun teaching it and I'm passionate about it. So I think it is saying, okay, I'm not going to let somebody else's energy drag down
Right.
my purpose
Right.
or my passion for what I'm
Exactly.
doing. And it's easy to
Yes.
do because a lot
Yeah.
of people have a lot going on.
Yeah.
They're not always
Right.
But you don't know
Right.
what they've had going on
Exactly.
all day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been a challenge, but I've learned you can learn that over
Yeah.
time, or I have.
I think another thing that we can all take away from this, Crystal, is that when people share their ideas with us, let's just support them and say,
You
go
know,
for it. You know, sounds
That's what I'm
great.
saying. I know. That's what I'm saying. If you have this crazy idea and I'll be like, you know what? That sounds great. Like, I think you should do that because you never know,
Right.
like, where
it
it's
goes
going to
back
lead.
to doing saying yes to the opportunity.
I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
times saying yes to opportunity or being ready for opportunity,
Right.
like being prepared to say, you know what, if opportunity comes my way, like I'm going to jump on it. So
Right.
being ready for that opportunity, saying yes to it, and just being open to it. And I think the other thing, and this is what I'm realizing too, with just because I hire and have some younger kids that will work and things like that. And one thing that I just want to scream to them sometimes is do the small things really well.
Okay.
Right. So I don't care if I'm asking you to clean the toilet.
Right.
Or go do this menial task. Like you have to do those small things with a positivity and
Right.
do those things with energy. Do the small things with attention to detail and do them really well.
Right.
And I feel like when I got into the golf business, not knowing anything about it, sometimes it wasn't all just about teaching golf, and
Right.
it was about I had to jump over to the snack bar and sell a hot dog,
Exactly.
right?
Right.
Is that my passion? No, but can I make it a really good interaction?
Right.
Absolutely. Did I have to clean the bathrooms at the end of the day when I was closing? Absolutely. But you know what?
Right.
Whatever. It takes me 10 minutes and I'm done, and now people can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like the pride in your job, the pride in your facility, doing a job well
Yeah.
done, paying attention to detail. And I would say my kind of positive attitude, and I think
Uh-huh.
Ted would say this too, is the only reason that I got hired, right? It wasn't for my experience. He didn't
Right.
hire me for any experience. I had zero experience. I had never worked at a golf shop before. But I came in and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have a good attitude
Yeah. Yeah.
and be willing to
Right.
earn and learn and be
Right.
eager. And I did. And that
Yeah.
you keep doing that and it keeps taking you
Yeah.
places.
Well, I heard attitude, doing a good job, paying attention to the details,
Mm-hmm.
but you also talked about pride in the entity, like thinking about the bigger picture
Yeah.
and how all those little details reflect on the broader business.
They do, and I
Yeah.
think that's something that even if you're somebody who's not in your what you would consider your forever career, or like
Uh-huh.
in a career that is your true passion, just do if you can do the job really well, like you'll get a lot of satisfaction out of
Right.
that,
Right.
right? And then it's a good reflection on you.
Right.
Um, and it makes the people around you better. Like how and I mean, isn't that really
Right.
at the end of the day, like, aren't you just trying to make people around you better? And so if cleaning the bathrooms really well, just for that example, or dusting or stocking the shelves or doing these little mundane tasks that like selling a hot dog, whatever it
Right.
may be in my profession anyways, like if you do those really well, like it's going to make people around you be like, oh,
Right.
okay, this is great. It's just better to be around.
Right.
It makes
Exactly.
people better.
Right.
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 And if you're just going to be like a big frowny face and just leaning there, not interacting and not doing
Right.
anything,
Yes.
nobody
No
wants
one
to be
wants to
around
do
that.
that. Yeah.
You don't want to be around that,
No.
right? It's not making
No.
anybody
Right.
better. And now, given it may not be what you want to do forever.
Right.
But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you have to do it with a bad attitude.
Exactly.
So that's just what I
Yeah.
think the attitude of, hey, maybe this isn't what I want to do forever. Maybe this isn't my favorite task. But
Right.
like,
But I'm going to do it with everything I've got.
yeah, if I
Yeah.
do it, then it makes people better.
Right.
And it makes my work better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that definitely is something that
Absolutely.
hopefully we can I just try to instill like in anybody that any young workers that kind of come across. I'm like, you can do this. I know it's not where you want to be right now. Probably don't want to be doing this forever, but
But this is a learning lesson. Yeah.
you never know where it's going to take you. So,
When you look out into your future with your purpose in mind, and it could be on whatever time horizon, but something further out there, where do you see?
that is a good question. And I've been so much like recently because golf right now is the fastest growing sport in America, probably since COVID. We're talking like
Okay, I
over
didn't realize that. I was
pickleball,
thinking
over
pickleball. Yeah.
you would
Okay.
think, right? And so these, if you go to the National Golf Foundation, they've done basically have all the statistics on golf, but it is the fastest growing sport in America. A lot of it due to like Top Golf, to
Okay. That
the
makes
indoor
sense.
back
Yeah.
nine. A lot of these places, and a lot of these people maybe have never stepped foot on a golf course,
Right.
right? So I'm riding the wave of golf right now,
Uh-huh.
right? So I feel like that to me, I'm like, man, I'm just riding the wave. If people are wanting to golf, like I'm going to create this opportunity for them. I'm going to create these programs. I'm going to
Right.
make these connections. There will be a time when not only when golf probably levels out a little bit, but obviously when I get older, when my
Right.
kids are in different phases in their life and maybe I'm not able to put the time in and do what I want to do or that I'm doing right now. But I think, and this is the beauty of the golf business for me, is there's a lot of different avenues to be able to continue to have that impact on people.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be in golf, it doesn't necessarily have to be, okay, I'm giving 6 lessons a day and I'm running all these programs constantly. It could be just my presence in the golf shop. So maybe
Okay.
it's, hey, I'm going to spend less time teaching and running programs, which
Right.
is a lot of work and it takes a lot of energy. But I'm going to step back from that, and maybe I'm going to just be more of I'm going to deal more with the people in the golf shop, and I'm going to
Right.
do the merchandising, and I'm going to slow down my teaching energy, and I'm going to refocus
Right.
that. So I would say the beauty of golf is there's a lot of different avenues.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't picture my life without doing anything other than being around golf,
Okay.
right? There's
Okay. Yeah.
nothing, it's always going to be part of my life. I've been doing it since I was 10 years old,
Right.
playing golf. And golf's always going to be there. And I think I'm always going to want that personal interaction,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And luckily, this business offers that
Right. Right.
in a lot of different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
So I think I'm lucky in that sense. And I know it'll take me different
Right.
directions, and I'm open to it,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So I'm just going to be open to, like, you know what? If I get tired, if I find myself getting, not being able to bring that passion to
Uh-huh.
golf, and that's where I think that self-evaluation will just happen. There's going to
Right.
be a day where I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing justice to the people that I'm teaching, or because maybe I'm not invested like I was
Uh-huh.
before. So that'll be a time,
Right. Right. But
But
and then it sounds like there's other paths within golf
there's several other
for you to
paths.
deliver your purpose. And yeah.
Absolutely. And I think I'll just have to be aware of that and say,
Right.
okay, I'm going to go this direction,
Right.
and I know something will come. I know it'll present itself.
Right.
So you just always have to be open
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
opportunity.
That's what you talked about, being open to the
Yeah,
opportunity and saying yes to it. Love
absolutely.
that.
I know. So golf is always going to be here for me.
Okay. Yeah.
It's always going to probably help me serve my purpose in
Yeah.
some way.
Yes. I love
So,
that.
yeah.
So I imagine there are people watching this that are trying to find their purpose or realize it. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, definitely. I think too. So I'm 44. I'm
Okay.
not afraid to say my age. I'm 44 years old. I did not, it's not like I knew my passion or my purpose in life when I was
Right.
20 and 21. And this is where I feel like a lot of younger people, they feel the pressure. They're like,
Do
I should
they?
know what I'm
Okay.
doing right now. And I'm like, man, you could go a million different directions. So I would just say, I don't even think I realized what my purpose was until and I don't think there's any limit on that. I mean, you could be 60
Absolutely.
years old, you may
Yep.
be 70. There's no time limit on that. So I just think eliminating that pressure of, oh, you have to find your purpose in life, like when you're in
Right.
college.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's the case. And I think people, like, don't rush it,
Right. Exactly.
find,
Yeah.
really find. So when I think about it, golf is something that I enjoyed, right? It was always something I enjoyed. So I followed the path of what I enjoyed,
Aw.
right? So
Yeah.
I said, okay, I enjoyed this and I want to keep enjoying it
Uh-huh.
when I have that opportunity. So I think doing something you enjoy, I
Right.
know that may not always pay the bills, right, for everybody. If you enjoy baking or whatever, you may not be able to immediately
Right.
open your own bakery
Right.
and be able to pay the bills. But so I understand there's that. But like, I think if you follow what you enjoy and follow that'll lead you to your passion, and then
Yeah.
you'll find your purpose through that. So I just think it could take some patience,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
like, don't rush it.
Uh-huh.
You may have to go through a lot of different opportunities to be
Right.
able to find where you're
Right.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that would be one of my
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of biggest pieces of advice
Right.
is don't feel like, oh, I'm 25. I should be
Right.
doing X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z by
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Or
Take the pressure off.
yeah,
There's no timeline.
there's no timeline, and be willing. There's so much opportunity in this world. Be open to like
Right.
venturing out if
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah. Follow the things that you enjoy that give
Yes,
you joy. Yes.
absolutely.
And that will lead you to
Yeah.
what you're passionate about
Yeah.
and
Hopefully your
maybe your
purpose in
purpose.
life.
Yeah.
I think if you follow that, right, and just always evaluate, okay, is this something that I'm finding purpose through?
Right.
And if it's not, maybe you need to look at other opportunity.
Right.
And I think you always just have to have that kind of self-awareness and
Yeah.
self-evaluation
Yep.
to
Yep.
like just lead you through. But that would be my biggest piece of just be patient and say
Yeah.
yes to opportunity.
Yes. Love
Would be
it.
mine
Love it.
biggest piece of advice.
Aw.
So
We've talked a lot about purpose. Anything left unsaid?
I feel like I've covered it Everything that I want to tell people, obviously, I could talk about the golf business and I could talk about my passion,
Mhm.
but I just find be willing to fail, right? I think
Okay.
that's another
Yeah.
thing. You have to be
You
willing to
talked
fail.
about that with your ideas
Yeah,
and yeah, going for it. And some of them
absolutely.
don't always work, but you learn.
They're not all going to work. So be willing to fail. Be careful who you share your ideas with. Surround
Yeah.
yourself with people that kind of share a similar vision, or at
Mhm.
least are more visionary leaders and people. So find yourself a mentor that you can share ideas with. It's not going to be everybody.
Right.
If you get excited about something, you may not be able to share it with your mom
Right.
or your dad. Or you may be like, you know what, I'm going to wait until this gets a little bit more mature and then
Right.
I'm going to tell them what I'm doing. So yeah, be careful who just surround yourself with people that
Yeah.
have similar visions and that you find a mentor that you can share your ideas
Yeah.
with. And then just find freedom to be creative,
Yeah.
right? So find that place or that maybe it's an activity. Maybe you have to work a 9 to 5 job in an office, right, to
Uh-huh.
be able to pay the bills. But maybe there's an activity that kind of helps you unleash your
Yeah.
creativity. So
Yeah.
find that. Find something that allows you to be creative and
Right.
frees up your mind a little bit
Right.
to help you. Hey, this is really what I want to do.
Yeah.
So those would be my biggest pieces of advice.
Oh, love
So
it. Crystal, thank you so much for being here and being a part of Purpose Project.
thank you so much. I enjoyed it. So very much appreciated.
Thank you, Crystal, for being on Purpose Project. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. There are so many things that I am taking away from this conversation. And one of those things is how Crystal started to realize her purpose after she was honored by the Professional Golf Association. It was in this recognition where they were asking her about her life's purpose, which gave her the opportunity to reflect on her life and on her career and really to discover her purpose. And so I've started wondering, do we need a significant event to happen in our life to start asking those questions? And I think the answer is no. But how can we create this intention around discovering and pursuing our life's purpose? That's what stood out to me. I would love to hear what stood out to you. And I suspect that there are people in your life who could learn from Crystal's advice. I would encourage you to share this episode with them. Let's continue to share stories of people pursuing their purpose in life so we can each learn from them and grow from them. Thank you all for tuning in. Purpose Project is brought to you for education and for entertainment purposes. This podcast is not intended to replace the advice that you would receive from a licensed therapist or doctor or any other qualified professional.